Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Emerson for going over the homework, and we're going to do a quick lesson with the objective being be able to write a parabola in vertex form if you're given standard form. Last semester we did this with the simple quadratic y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. But now that we're introducing the conic section where the parabola can be rotated and it's going in the other direction, we're going to learn to do it with that. Same process, it's going to be easy. Let's first review the steps to complete the square. Number 1, isolate the variables, move the constant to the left side. 2, factor out the coefficient of the squared term. 3, complete the square and add to both sides. And last, 4, solve for x or y. Take a few minutes to write this down, a few seconds probably only, to finish writing it, and then we'll move along to the first example. Now for example 1, y equals 3x squared plus 12x plus 16. First step, isolate the variables. So subtract 16 from both sides. And I did the second step at the same time. I factored out the coefficient of the squared term, 3, and I'm left with x squared plus 4x. Little sound effect there, you might have liked it. At this point, I want to complete the square for this. And so do that by taking half of the middle term, this one right here, and then squaring it. 4. And usually I say quickly, add to both sides. But notice that we have a coefficient out here, so we have to multiply 3 times 4, and that's what we're going to add to both sides. So that's why we have the 12 over here. Simplifying, we have y minus 4. And then factoring, you know this trinomial will factor to be x plus 2 squared, so we have 3 times x plus 2 squared. Last step, solve for y by adding 4 to both sides. So you now have vertex form. Y equals 3 times x plus 2 squared plus 4. What's the vertex? Well, the vertex is going to be HK, so the opposite of this, -2, 4. The direction is opening, it's a Y, it's opening up. Now let's move on to example 2. Notice the difference that this, I bet you love those sound effects. This is an x equals y squared minus 10y minus 7. Doesn't matter, we're going to complete the square the same way. So we're going to add 7 to both sides, and we have y squared minus 10y. And then we're going to complete the square. Notice there was no coefficient this time, so we didn't have to factor anything out. So we took half of 10, which is 5, squared it, and added 25 to both sides. Simplifying, x plus 32, factoring y minus 5 squared. Remember, these were perfect trinomial squares. It's the square root of the squared term, the square root of the last term, and the sine of the middle squared. And then subtracting 32, we have y minus 5 squared minus 32. What would the vertex be? Think about it. Well, the vertex would be what? Negative 32, 5. And this is going which direction? It's an x equals, so we know it's side to side. This is positive, so it's going to the right. Now on to example 3. This one's a little bit challenging. As you can see, the coefficient of the squared term is negative 1/4, so that in itself is a little challenging. So let's start with our first step. Subtract the 2 from both sides. And then if we're going to factor out this negative 1/4, that will come out and we'll be left with y squared. But when you factor out a fraction from an integer, it's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we want to multiply by negative 4, and that's where we get the negative 8y. Now double check. Negative 1/4 times negative 8 is going to be positive 2. So we are okay. Now let's complete the square. So half of 8 is 4, squared is 16. So we're going to add 16. But again, here's that coefficient. Okay, I'm sure James is loving these sound effects. Here's the coefficient. We're going to multiply through. So we're really adding negative 4. That will give me x minus 6. This will give me y minus 4 squared. Add 6, and here we are. Now, what's the vertex? Well, this is an x equals. So it's hk, so the vertex is 6, 4. Which direction is it going? Well, it's an x equals and it's negative, so it's going to go to the left. Now, for homework, I want you to do page 603, numbers 1 through 4, and 14 through 19. The only thing you're going to do is write it in vertex form. Don't follow the directions, okay? And then give me the vertex and the direction of the opening. Hope you all have a good day. See you tomorrow.